Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as a part of my REACH project, I'll be addressing on a main global issue, which is poverty. I'll begin by defining what exactly poverty is. Poverty is basically the condition where a person's basic needs of food, water, clothing, and shelter are not being met. But the definition does not end here. Poverty is being sick and not being able to see a doctor. Poverty is not being able to go to school, not knowing how to read, not being able to speak properly. Poverty is not having a job. Poverty is having fear for the future and living one day at a time. Poverty is losing a child to illness brought about by unclean water. Poverty is powerlessness and lack of freedom. The type of poverty. There are basically two types of poverty: relative poverty and absolute poverty. Relative poverty is the condition in which people lack the minimum amount of income needed in order to maintain the average standard of living in the society in which they live. Relative poverty is considered the easiest way to measure the level of poverty in an individual country. Relative poverty is defined relative to the members of a society and therefore differs across countries. Absolute poverty. Absolute poverty is a condition characterized by severe deprivation of basic human needs, including food, safe drinking water, sanitation facilities, health, shelter, education, and information. It depends not only on income, but also on access to services. The international standard of absolute or extreme poverty is set to the possession of less than $1 a day. The statistics of poverty. Almost half of the world, over 3 billion people, live on less than $2.50 a day. And at least 80% of humanity lives on less than $10 a day. There are approximately 2.2 billion children in the world, and about 1 billion of these children are poor. According to UNICEF, 22,000 children die every day due to poverty, and they die quietly in some of the poorest villages on earth, far removed from the scrutiny and conscience of the world. Being meek and weak in life makes these dying multitudes even more invisible to death. As you can see in this image, an estimate of people who earn less than $1 a day are mostly present in Africa, while in UK, most of the people fall into the middle class or the rich class category and earn more than $10 a day. According to this graph by the World Bank, it can be seen that there's been a huge drop in the percentage of poverty since 1990, which has fallen from 37.1% to 9.6%. This means that today, only 9.6% people in the world earn less than $1.9 a day. That's about 700 million people. The causes of poverty. Lack of education causes poverty, as if people will not be educated enough. This might lead to unemployment in the future, which causes poverty. Unemployment causes poverty, as I just said. If people are unemployed, they won't be able to earn money and will become poor. Corruption causes poverty, because if the political leaders and the rich keep on using the money for their own purposes rather than improving the condition of the other people, this may also lead to poverty. Natural disasters cause poverty by destroying homes and property. Overpopulation causes poverty, as the demand for resources will not be met by the number of resources available. War causes poverty by damaging property and destroying homes. Greed causes poverty, as this causes the rich to keep on getting richer while the poor keep on getting poorer. Discrimination and social inequality also causes poverty. For example, by giving a person of the same race more importance than a person of a different race. What does poverty look like? These are just some images that portray poverty. Most of us can't even bear looking at these pictures. I'll basically talk about this picture in the bottom right corner. This picture was taken by Kevin Carter who was a photojournalist in Africa. As you can see in this image, that this child who is suffering from severe malnutrition and dehydration is just about to die, while this vulture here is waiting for this child to die. Kevin Carter committed suicide 3 months after taking this photograph, as he could no longer suffer the cruelty of the world and suffer from post-traumatic disorder. How can we end poverty? We can give charity in different ways, either in the form of money or simply by giving away books, clothes and toys. We can build hospitals to provide free education to the poor. We can provide jobs to unemployed people. We can provide shelters to people who are homeless. We can also end poverty by promoting education by building schools. We can also improve sanitation and the infrastructure of the areas with a high poverty rate. Preventing war so that it does not lead to destruction and loss of poverty and lives. And also, rather than spending huge sums of money on war, the same money could be used to help the poor. For example, John Perkins, who is an American author, said that the United States spent over $87 billion conducting a war in Iraq, while the United Nations estimates that for less than half that amount, we could provide clean water, adequate diets, sanitation services, and basic education to every person on the planet. In the end, I would just like to recite a poem on poverty. Their smiles, sincere like angels, their hearts scarred forevermore. Was this their fate or our greed? A question asked, but we ignore. Born into tragedy, they can't escape. No opportunities for them to try. Suffering, hurting more every day. But we sit back and let it go by. Shattered homes, desperate for shelter. Poor conditions, it's help they need. They want to be healthy and joyful. They want a better life to lead. Time is a fragile element for them. It can smash completely unplanned. You can help them. We all can. Their future lies in your hand. The future lies in your hand.